Hi everyone, good evening. I'm fine. I'm okay. I don't know why there's a weird, like, orangish red hue to everything. I don't understand the lighting thing in here. I'm eventually, when I have enough money, going to invest in a lighting system that isn't so terribly bright. I just looked at it. I shouldn't have looked at it. Anyway, hi, this is for the Parsley Sage. Hello, thank you for supporting me. This is a short story in Tortal and Other Lands called Testing, which I'm going to read the author's note beforehand. When I began college, I was in the middle of a 5-year case of writer's block, so I made other career plans. I chose psychology with an eye to working with kids, structuring most of my work-study jobs to that end as I took courses in education and social work, as well as psychology. Just before the start of my junior year, my writing returned to me. After that, I forgot my original goal. I wrote. After I finished the manuscript of a long, single adult novel called The Song of the Lioness. Moment of not okay. I drifted until my dad and stepmother invited me to live with them in Idaho. What? They were visited in Idaho? I lived from when I was 1 until I was 8. I lived in Boise. Anyway, a week following my arrival, I found a job in the only thing I was educated for. I became a house mother in a group home for teenage girls. Okay. Tamora Pierce, you need to have a conversation with my brother. Many events and testing actually happened to me, though not all in the first week. My girls were lively, inventive, and well defended. By the time I met them, their trust had been abused so often that it was hard for them to open up. Yes. I began a dialogue with them not through photographs as X-Ray does, but through storytelling. My first serial for the girls involved retelling my song to them. I wasn't allowed to let them read my novel, which dealt with adult subjects. A year later, when my agent suggested that I break it up into 4 books for teenagers, I realized I already had. Oh, this is not going to be okay. This isn't going to be okay. I miss the girls still. They taught me so much, not just about writing for kids, but about the need for a sense of humor. I've been trying to pay them back ever since, not directly, since we all fell out of touch, but by writing for other kids who could use some fantasy in their lives. But no, I'm going to probably cry a lot. Okay, this is testing. I'm already emotional. My brother taught for the state, for a school for teenage girls who were in foster care. So I visited with them a lot, and they're wonderful girls, and I'm probably not going to be okay reading this. So, I never realized how much I needed things to be steady. The Smithton home for girls wasn't paradise, but it was solid. Things had been the same ever since I arrived. Every other week we had Renee, who was the best house mother for a crew of ordinary girls that you could imagine. She was perky, funny, energetic, knew the current groups and dances, and didn't yell at us to turn the music down during free time. Where is this set? We liked our other house mother, Shoshana, too, but in the spring of my first year at the Smithton Home for Girls, Shoshana got married and moved to Oregon. That's... Okay. So I just expected it to be in Tortal, so I'm like, Oregon, that's right over there. Over there, actually. They hired dump truck first. What? She was 40-something and sloppy, had a voice that would break glass, and feet she always complained about. To go from Renee to her every week was more than any of us could stand. Then we found out dump truck hated lizards, hated snakes, and the way she yelled when she found the newt in her bed, she killed the newt with her shoe and quit. Keisha cried about it for days. You wouldn't think a girl who was there for robbing convenience stores with her 30-year-old boyfriend would care what happened to a slimy newt, but Keisha was nuts for animals. Next came Sugar. She was younger, thin like a stick, with dry, straight hair and pale eyes that grabbed a girl and hung on to her. She carried a Bible wherever she went. We called her Sugar after her strongest curse. Oh, Sugar! She told us to walk and talk quietly. She prayed before meals, which majorly chapped Maria Hightower. Maria's boyfriend taught her Native American religion before he got her pregnant and dumped her at a bus station. When Sugar insisted on prayer, even after Maria explained about the Great Spirit, Corn Woman, and Coyote, Maria told us Coyote ought to teach Sugar respect. By then, we were tired of going from Renee, who made us feel good, to Sugar, who told us that the Smithton home was our road to redemption. It was her not-so-subtle way of telling us that we'd all done stupid things to end up here. Sugar was a little harder to get rid of than dump truck, but we managed. We painted some candles black and switched the King James Bible. I already know where this is going. She switched the King James Bible she kept in her purse for a book Elsie found, the Satanic Bible. We wrote Satan backward on the covers of our notebooks. Maria told her the baby the state made Maria give up her adoption was really sacrificed to the dark powers. Sugar ran like a rabbit. Poor Sugar. I was drawing in my room a few days after Sugar left, when Anna came to me. You gotta hear this, she said. She led me down to the office downstairs. She led me to the office downstairs. Maria, Keisha, Alouette, I guess? Alouette? I've only seen that name printed. I've never actually said it out loud. They were already listening at the closed door. Don't dare tell them they have control over which house mother stays or goes. That was Dr. Marsden, Dr. M we called him, who ran the home. If we ask them to go easy on new house mothers, they'll be in the power position and they'll use it. Sooner or later we'll run out of house mothers, Ben. That was Rowena Washington. Ro was the in-house social worker. She took us to court, medical and dental appointments, helped the house mothers to chaperone at things like fairs and movies, and helped Dr. M fill in when there was no alternate house mother. Every time we advertise, we get fewer and fewer applicants. They'll stop the testing behavior, we heard Renee tell them. School's about to start. Pretty soon they'll be busy with that, and they won't have time to get rid of the new house mother. Chairs scraped, and we got out of there. Later, in the smoking corner of the house, we decided testing behavior sounded like a most cool term for what we were doing. We would have put any new house mother through the mill, just as the girls the year before, before me put Renee through it. But testing behavior made it sound like an important kind of game. We had to play. 5 days later, we came home to find a strange girl sitting in the dining room with Renee. This is Doreen Swanson, Renee told us. She's going to be our new house mother. The girl, she was just out of college, we found out, smiled shyly as Renee started to introduce us. I was shaking Doreen's hand when my throat started to close up. The minute she let go, I ran upstairs to my room and shut the door. I couldn't breathe. So is she having a panic attack? Because this sounds like when I have a panic attack, this is what happens. I couldn't breathe. Sweat poured down my face. My knees wobbled so I could hardly stand. I dropped on my bed and covered my eyes with my arm, trying to get a grip. It was a panic attack, the first one in months. When I arrived at the home, Dr. M, who was a shrink as well as the director, put me on tranquilizers and had personal sessions with me for weeks to help me with them. Now I did what we'd worked out. I held my breath, then let it out slowly, the way Anna had to when her asthma got rolling. After a while, my throat relaxed some. I'm in my room, I told myself. And as Dr. M had suggested, I'm on my bed. My stuffed animals are in a pile in the corner. My picture of my mom is on my desk. My books are on the dresser. By the time I named all the things that were mine, that had always been mine, the shakes were fading and I could breathe almost normally. I could think, which was the next step. That's interesting. That's not the way I deal with panic attacks, but it's sort of the same in spirit, which is the idea. I name specific people, or I'll go through things like, I'll stop myself and I'll be like, think of this, think of this, think of this, think of this, in order, and it's very organized. It's a way to organize the panic attack. Anyway, I was supposed to work out what had given me attacks before. I didn't even remember what my last ones here at the home were about. Before that, I got them in juvenile hall, in court, in cop cars, and bus stations. I had one when the last guy who picked me up showed me his knife. Then it had actually been useful. He thought I was dying and dumped me out of his car. Those all made sense. Oh, this is gonna destroy me. This is gonna destroy me. But this one came from nowhere, as far as I could tell. Those that hit without warning had been when I lived with my dad. Not while Mom was alive, not even when it was just me and him. No, wait. The first one came when I was maybe 6. We had moved into a trailer home, our 4th house since Mom died. When I got off the bus, I couldn't remember which trailer was ours. I did to sit by the mailboxes, sweating and trying to breathe till Dad came home from work. I didn't have another until he discovered his second wife and brought a new girlfriend home a week later. Wait, what? I'm sorry. That was not the word that says. I didn't have another until he divorced his second wife. I was like, discovered? That doesn't make sense. And brought a new girlfriend home a week later. She bent down and grinned at me, showing big teeth stained brown. That night I woke up trying to breathe after a dream where she ate me. She was gone a month later. This time only 2 days passed before Dad introduced me to his new girlfriend. That was when the attacks came all the time. Whenever we moved, or whenever he moved in a new girlfriend or a new wife, aunts and moms, he made me call them, each one seriously bent somehow. What kind of regular woman would decide she was in love with somebody enough to move in with them after a night at a bar? Some took drugs, some made me do all the housework, some knocked me around, some had relatives or even other boyfriends who shared their bad habits and added a few of their own. It wasn't until I ran away that first time that I got a night's sleep in someone else's treehouse, with no panic attacks. But for 8 months, at the Smithton home, nothing had changed. Renee was there 1 week, Shoshana the next. The same faces, the same house, the same teachers, the same rules. The attacks slacked off, then stopped. Dr. M took me off tranquilizers, and now I'd had an attack over the newest house mother, the newest new face. Maybe she'll stay, I thought as I washed up. Please let her stay. Doreen was really sweet, really tiny. Doreen was sweet, really. Tiny, pretty, and bashful. She survived all the tricks we played on her during her first week and only lost her temper a couple of times. We wanted her to stay, but that was when Lydia Carmody still lived at the home. Lydia had what the workers called rage reaction. She would motor along quietly for about 5 weeks, and then in the 6th week, Boom. She would blow up and try to kill anyone who got in her way. She had her second explosion all over Doreen, who left with a broken arm and a broken nose. Lydia didn't. Lydia went to the state hospital. We were relieved about that, but sad about Doreen, and I had 2 mild panic attacks. Is that their name? Jalapeno didn't stay either. She had a temper and she hated to be sassed. We got her to lose her grip twice in front of Dr. M, and she went to work someplace else. Mrs. Bertoldi didn't survive her week of probation. She said that raising teenage girls when she was 30 and raising them when she was 50 were 2 completely different things. Now I was waking up a couple times a week, unable to breathe. Penny was cool, I thought, but Elsie saw her sneak her boyfriend in through a downstairs window. That made Maria, Janice, and Alloway crazy, because if the house mother could have her boyfriend over, why couldn't we? They called Dr. M, and Penny was gone in a day. The next one. We called her X-Ray, for the way she seemed to look right through you with her pale eyes. She was medium in almost everything. Medium height, medium skin, medium chubby measurements. She spoke just loudly enough to be heard by the people around her, no louder. The only thing that would make people look twice at her was her hair. Even its color was medium, somewhere between blonde and brown, but it fell all the way to her waist. When she wasn't dressed up for the interviews or for meeting the board of directors, she wore pants and shirts in colors no one would ever remember. We thought she maybe came from a planet of invisible people. During her observation week, when she followed Renee around to see how things were done, we kept an eye on her. She seemed okay. When we sang in the van, we sang a lot when Renee drove us. It turned out she knew some interesting songs we'd never heard before. She didn't even mind writing 5 copies of the lyrics out by hand, since the house computer was for house business or homework help, period. She didn't freak when Alloway sneaked up behind her and screamed in her ear like Jalapeno did. On the coordination scale, she rated about a -50. Even with Renee to help, we couldn't teach her to dance. Keisha and I voted to leave her alone the night before she spent her first week on duty with us. I was so tired of the attacks, and I knew sooner or later somebody would notice. Would notice I was showering sweat off in the middle of the night again. Oh. They'd tell Dr. M, who would put me back on tranquilizers. I hated those things. At school, our first tests were coming up. Torturing the house mother took a lot of work. We could have used to study instead, and I wanted things to calm down. I wanted boring, excitementless days back. No way, said Maria. She can't walk in here like the mothers and expect us to love her because she's, taken an interest. Maria was the hardest of us and maybe the smartest. Her mom was a drunk, so she had looked after her brothers. That's when Children's Services put the kids in foster homes. The boys' family was okay. But Maria got a string of creeps, the same as Keisha and Elsie, which is extremely common. I guess without her brothers to take care of, Maria ran a little wild, met her boyfriend, stole some cars, and got pregnant. We can't fall for that I love you 'cause I can't just do crap, she added. Why don't you just go and put a 2-cent price tag on us, demanded Anna, checking her hair for split ends. Tell them we're easy. Anna thought she was such a hard case. All she ever did was sell pot at school until her folks got her busted. Excuse me. She gets tested the same as Renee gets tested, Elsie said. Testing X-ray won with the vote. Keisha and I went on to do homework while the others decided on a plan. The staff would be sure to warn X-ray of everything that was done to the other house mothers, particularly since we were all on restrictions for it. That meant no walking home from school. Staff picked us up. That meant no TV during the week and no mall trips till after Christmas. Of course, restrictions meant we had more time to work on the newest house mother. You'd think they would have figured that out. Finally, it was the day of X-ray's first duty shift. The rest of the staff had gone home. Let the game begin, Janice whispered in my ear as we walked into the house after a cigarette break. I rolled my eyes, but there was no way I couldn't do my bit. Panic attacks or no, I had to live with these guys. There were snacks and juice on the dining room table, so we all grabbed chairs and sat. Alloway dropped onto the chair across from X-ray. Where are you from? She challenged X-ray in the way she said it. She wanted X-ray not to answer the question and to say Lou was rude. You're not from around here. I moved here 2 months ago, said X-ray, peeling an orange. Where from? Asked Lou. College, said X-ray, getting orange skin oil on her face. And where was college? That was Maria. She spoke in that bright, slow, hyper-interested tone that grown-ups who didn't know better use on little kids. I was sitting beside X-ray. Maybe I was the only one who saw the corner of her mouth quiver, as if she hid a smile. In the same understanding tone as Maria's, X-ray replied, Philadelphia. Where were you before that? Elsie had a heap of Oreos in front of her. She was opening them, eating all the filling, and putting the cookies aside. She'd only eat the cookies when she'd sucked up all the filling. It depends, said X-ray. Keisha and Janice rolled their eyes. I saw X-ray glance at them, and then went that quiver at the corner of her mouth. Right before college, I lived in Singapore. We all looked at each other. Who ever heard of someone living in Singapore? Who ever heard of a medium person like X-ray living anywhere cool? Oh, this is great. This is great. Okay, I'm going to make another video and keep reading.